Well, greetings everyone from around the world. Thanks for joining our webinar today. And for those of you who didn't join our last webinar, if anyone's interested in checking it out on media, check out the Traxon YouTube channel. We're very excited also to announce that our next webinar coming up shortly will be with world-renowned lighting designer Chip Israel from Lighting Design Alliance. So stay tuned for details on that announcement. Today we have myself, Michael Baudo, Global Director of Traxon, along with Cy Eaton, Global Business Development, who will be presenting today on contours of light. I will be your mediator. So remember, we are recording this presentation and the chat room is now open. So if you have questions, please submit them as the presentation goes. Cy, it's all yours.
Thank you, Michael, and top of the day to all of you, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. It's so wonderful to virtually see you today. So last time we met, we were talking about 2- and 3-dimensional lighting. Now, for those of you not super familiar with the Traxon EQ family, you can simplify it into 4 general categories. We have illumination, ambient, media lighting, and of course, lighting management and controls. Now, today, we're going to be talking about lines of light, the contours of architecture. And for that, we're going to borrow a little bit from all of our categories to look at how we can use these simple brushstrokes to create really exciting installations. These lines of light could be straight, could be curved, and then applied in creative and clever ways to inspire the world around us. These 2 starting application images may look chaotic at first, but on the left you have a mesh of straight lines that was inspired by the makeup of human neurons, and on the right, curved swooping lines inspired by wind and weather patterns. When I think about lines of light, I like to think of Pablo Picasso. And these ceramics of his are fantastic examples of how simple, elegant lines can evoke a deep sense of wonder and emotion without much fuss or articulation. And great architecture is the same. Just a few key brushstrokes really evokes the grandeur of these places, such as in the Burj Al Arab. And when we have architectural statements like this as architectural lighting designers, we want to accentuate those brushstrokes instead of adding new layers. So when we're infusing light into a space, we can look for the lines that already exist instead of imposing new architectural patterns, whether that is straight or curved, and we can natively accent the architecture and bring light to the space without imposing, say, grids of downlights or troffers. So these first few applications we've looked at have all been interior applications, and for those we have our line of Cove product, both our white product, the Cove AC Dim G2, as well as our Cove AC HO, the Grays fixtures, and our RGB W fixtures.
So Cy, it looks like we have a question for you.
Oh.
What are the controls protocol for your Cove Dim 2 product?
For the Cove Dim 2, it's a nice standard white product, and to keep that simple, 0 to 10 volt control. So moving out of the interior and damp space applications, a lot of what Traxon does is in the urban skyline. And when I say urban skyline and facade lighting, we might initially think of places like the Las Vegas Strip or Times Square in New York City, these big flashy tourist centers, and absolutely there's a lot of exciting facade lighting to go there, but let's also look at just a standard downtown skyline. This is Dallas, Texas, and at first glance this is just a clustering of buildings. But as you look closer, you notice all of these buildings that have been accentuated subtly with these lines of light to help pop out specific features in the architectural skyline. And just imagine if these brushstrokes hadn't been applied, how flat this skyline would look, just kind of a sea of glass and lit up windows. And instead, this subtle facade lighting is adding a sense of life and energy and unique identity to specific buildings in the space. Another example of this is the Rogers Place Arena, where just a single continuous accent line offset within the footprint of the roof pops this building out. Now imagine, actually you don't have to imagine, let's look at this without that accent light and how that block-wide building becomes a black hole in the downtown environment instead of being this beacon and feature for the community. So these are all examples of how just a simple line of light can do a lot for a building and for an exterior environment, and Allegro Tube Mono is perfectly suited for that. It's thin, light, bright, capable of long runs in static colors, whether those are static whites or colors, and just super robust and easy to install. And lest you think maybe it's just kind of simple brushstrokes, restrained applications, I just have to point out the landmark 81 in Ho Chi Minh City. This is the tallest building in Vietnam, and the 10th tallest building in Asia, and is accentuated with dense columns of this Allegro Tube Mono to really pop this fixture out from the adjacent buildings and the overall skyline of Ho Chi Minh City. So another feature of many urban skylines are bridges. They're going over water or highways. You have this beautiful set of lines that are visible from very far away. This is a simple example of the Xingmeng Bridge in Hong Kong. But bridges, we have bridges everywhere, and what I love about them, they're just lines, almost all of them. It's just pure structure, and why not make that structure pop and make it a moment and experience? So the 59 Bridges in Houston is a lovely example of this. I say bridges because it's not just one bridge, it's multiple bridges along a major commuter corridor leading into downtown Houston. And the people who drive this route every day have been interviewed and comment on how delightful it is, this relighting of these bridges, because it's dynamic, colorful, playful lighting that transforms their commuting route every day, so that when you're driving to work 250 days of the year, remember when we all used to commute, folks, you have a different visual scape day to day, and it can respond to the events, sporting wins, sporting losses, and just celebrate the culture of the city. Speaking of commutes, we also have the Lupu Bridge, which was part of my commute for a number of years in Shanghai. I would drive over this every day, and it was a nice beacon for me, knowing I was almost home every time I drove over this bridge. And this bridge, Lupu Bridge, it's long, it's arcing beautifully over over this large river just outside of downtown Shanghai. And it reminds me how challenging lighting bridges can be. Yes, it's the architectural design instinct is there, it's lines, lighted, accented. But when you have these continuous runs over rivers and highways, over water with that's very visible to the community and also very difficult to access for maintenance, it's important that these fixtures are very robust and very reliable, and also easy to install. So we have both for our indirect view fixtures, kind of sort of like we saw on the Schumann bridge, these linear washes that can articulate and splash along a long run. And now we're really excited for direct view product, our latest addition to our lines of light in Traxon is Contour. This is capable of up to 1,000 foot runs of a linear direct view diffuse light of 1, 2, or 3 inch profiles. And as I said, up to 1,000 foot of both power and data control with discrete control down to 1 foot pixel increments. Then we start thinking about more elaborate animation. So we have the Pearl in Bangkok, which is an interesting building, both in the architectural structure itself and then how the lighting mirrors the playfulness of that structure. This is during the day, has a nice kind of mirror ball effect as the sun moves across the sky and the clouds and the windows sparkle. So at night we have a bunch of media tube HO and dots that are playfully mirroring that daytime glitter during the nighttime environment. I apologize, I don't have a video for you on that today. But another example of media or facade as media, structure as screen, is the Grand Stade in Lille. Now, you'll notice there's this flower on the screen here, but then if you look back, there's what looks like the same flower running across the entire building. And using lines of light and media control, you can really make the entire building stand out as a feature. I love this opening piece. You can get that ballyhoo effect on your building without having to have actual floodlights 1,000 feet away, creating a bunch of sky glare. So see how you have this high def screen for when you're close up, but when you're far away approaching the building, you get the same video effect. And then when you're close up, that whole facade just becomes this ambient, playful, dynamic light. A little bit abstract, but very inviting. So I already mentioned the products that we're using for this sort of application. The media tube HO in 1 to 5 foot lengths, both imperial and metric lengths, with pixel pitches down to as fine as 1 inch. And also our Allegro dot available in small, medium, and large, capable of articulating those dots in both lines and swoops. And then we get into what I think is really some of the secret sauce of Traxon, and one of my favorite projects that we've done, the Baku flame towers. Now this, at first glance, you would go, oh, this is media tube HO. But actually we mocked that up and found that line for this particular application was a little too harsh. They want the client and the designer wanted something that had that soft glow of flame, and they wanted these flames because natural gas is a major export of Baku. So Traxon worked in tight collaboration with ownership and the designers to create a custom fixture that could be mounted not on the exterior of the facade, but inside, and create a softer, taller, visible surface. And this is an example of how we're not just selling off the shelf. We're really there to collaborate with the design team and your clients to understand and execute the vision of a product. And possibly one of the best overall examples of this kind of collaborative integrated solution would be the Shanghai Towers, where you get all of the lines of light and lighting media and some of our sister companies such as Clay Pack and their theatrical moving head fixture solutions coming together to create this fantastic feature of the Shanghai skyline. This is the tallest building in Asia, second tallest building in the world, and Traxon collaborated closely, not just for the fixture and facade design, but also to make sure that this was a long-term successful product with ongoing maintenance and programming and upkeep support. So just an absolutely stunning product. I was in Shanghai as this was going up. It was really cool to see this building come to life. So there you are. Those are our Traxon contours in light, all the dynamic brushstrokes that you can bring to your next project. And we're really excited to hear what sort of elegant brushstrokes you want to apply to the contours of your next project.
So Sai, it looks like we have a couple questions.
Great.
So you talked about in the contour angles and corners. How do you achieve that?
This is a great question. So I kind of glossed over it a bit, but as we developed contour, one thing we realized, and I have a couple of props. I've loaned out my actual samples of these fixtures, so you're just gonna have to settle for the boxes that they came in. So yeah, we talked about long continuous runs, and that's fine, but at some point you're going to hit a corner, and we went to design those corner fixtures, and then we realized, well, if we have a 90 degree, depending which way it goes, because the power and data only run one direction, this 90 degree becomes two separate skews. And then architectural design, especially in this day, very rarely 90 degrees. So what if you have a slight angle? What if you have an articulated angle or a backwards angle? So the solution we came up with is not to offer a standard corner. And instead, this is a standard modified corner built to spec per project. So you can make sure that whatever application, whatever building design you have, you always get a nice clean abutment at that corner and no gappage, no weird shadows, just good clean architectural integration.
Great, Sai. Next question. So where do you see trends in lighting lines of light coming from? Architects, engineers, lighting designers, where do you see the trends?
Ownership, actually. We're starting to, as we see more and more successful facade lighting applications, a number of designers have commented that their clients are starting to get facade envy. So one developer builds a new building and puts some nice, tasteful facade lighting onto that building, and the next developer wants something equally as nice, equally or more dynamic. This community scaled lighting becomes a form of mass social media, a way for companies and building owners and brands to communicate to the community.
Great, Sai. We have another question. On the Shanghai Tower, which luminaires were installed there?
If you go onto our website, there's a great showcase on this. And off the top of my head, I don't have the full list because it was okay. Quite the robust.
I might be able to help a little bit that the media tube, so the ribbon of light going up is media tube controlled per inch. There's at the top a product that was called Crown Dot, which would be similar to our Pixel today. And then Allegro washers are grazing other parts of that surface along the facade.
Nice, really great question.
And then there's another question. Do you have detailed drawings and the luminaires and the integration? Yeah, we provide detailed drawings for specific projects on how they integrate into the facade, whether it's recessed, surface mounted, behind the glass, or however it is. So that's all part of our services to support the lighting design and architectural community.
Yeah, so for example, on the Flame Tower, we produced a full document set. We have I could send you a spec sheet that would look like it was a standard product coming from Traxon.
Well, that looks like it was the last question. So if anybody has any others. All right, well, thank you, everyone. And we're all looking forward to our next webinar. Again, as I mentioned, with lighting designer Chip Israel from Lighting Design Alliance, and look forward to that announcement. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you all.